Shut up and sit down.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you're listening across the world. Welcome to another episode of Just Ball Things. Yes, hello Jackie boy, I see you there peering into your camera with me today. As always, we have the J-Man, Jack Manuel. How are you, buddy?
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you, my friend. My name is Nick Busink, and mate, as promised, we have a new photo, I think, that no one is going to understand. But the Doggies won the 2016 AFL Premiership. Never forget. Greatest year in sporting history. Leicester also won the Premier League in that year. And the Cavs also won the championship in that year. 2016 was a strange year, though I think Leicester was the 15-16 or the 16-17 season, and then the Cavs was the 15-16 season. So it's just like, still happened in 2016, whatever. Yes, so every week, something new. Keep me honest, JBT fans, please. All right, mate. You can contact us on Twitter at JBTNick or at the J-Man JBT. Right there. For anything Brooklyn related, obviously, the J-Man JBT is your boy. If you just want funny tweets, follow me. I'm hilarious. You can also follow OTG Basketball at OTG Basketball. They've got an awesome podcast network and YouTube network for you to keep to date with up to date with all things NBA. Make sure you give them a follow on Twitter and on YouTube. But of course, you're already following them on YouTube because you're watching this show. So good for you. Facebook.com/justballthings. You can follow us there. And gbtpodcast at gmail.com. If you want to email us, we will read them sometimes. No, we definitely will. There's not a lot of traffic happening through that email. So you'll definitely get our undivided attention. Jackie boy, let's get started here with the Busick-Manuel scale. For those of you who are new, this is a scale created by us that sums up how likely things are to happen in the NBA. We scale it on alternative fact, Twitter fact, Wikipedia fact, or a straight up fact. Those are the 4 rungs on this ladder. Mate, is this a Brooklyn Bits? This is
not a Brooklyn Bits. Ooh. It is a Boston Bits.
It's a Boston Bits. Boston woes. Kyrie Irving is the reason for Boston's current woes. Very nice.
Okay. Now, stick with me, Nets fans and Celtics fans and NBA fans. These comments from something Grosbeck, I don't know who the hell it is, one of the co-owners, CEOs of the Boston Celtics said this in relation to Kyrie Irving's departure. Seems like they won't shut up about it, those goddamn Celtics. He said, well, I would say I'm disappointed, but I would also say that in those 4 years, we reached the conference finals 3 times, so it hasn't been a wasteland. It's been to the final 4. But, we thought Kyrie would stay forever and lead us all the way. He's maybe the best team in the league right now, and so that's that. And that changed a lot of stuff, and we weren't able to maybe recruit free agents in the same way. And, there's a bit of a domino effect, but it is what it is. Now, this is a blatant alternative fact, Nick, because the reason for the Boston woes right now are injuries, our lack of depth, our poor recruiting. There's a multitude of reasons beyond Kyrie Irving. As much as Celtics fans and Celtics media still want, and Celtics ownership, it seems, still want to attribute a lot of their woes. They're not Wizards woes. They're not that bad. They're still hanging around.
Hey, mate, 6 of 7. 6 of 7 wins. It's 7 of 8 now. Yeah, 7 of 8 because we beat the T-Wolves today.
You guys are on the come up. You might have the same record as them by the time we do the next podcast. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, boss, the injury to Marcus Smart has been pronounced. Kemba Walker's inconsistent form. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been great. They're just goddamn superstars. Tristan Thompson has been Daniel Tice has been pretty good. The backups, Peyton Pritchard's been inconsistent. Jeff Teague's been inconsistent. I like Robert Williams as a prospect. Grant Williams is a bit more They just don't have a deep enough rotation, be it at the wing position or just guys that can create their own shot. Passing, I think they're missing the playmaking and defense of Marcus Smart. That's probably, once he's back, I think they're going to be okay. Right now they're struggling. I think they have a lot of talent, but their lack of depth and, Danny Ainge is always pretty close to getting a deal done. Always so close. Oh, we almost got Paul George and we almost got Anthony Davis. Only Kyrie Irving stayed. So they need to do something because they have a weak and shallow rotation right now. Marcus Smart's return, hopefully at some point soon, will help that. And I do believe in the Boston Celtics as being some semblance of a force. But if you have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kemba Walker healthy right now, you can't be playing this poorly at basketball. It's unheard of to have those three as good a players as they are and be performing this poorly. It makes no sense. Plenty of other teams have dealt with injuries and COVID absences and then been able to go, cool, we can deal with it. The Nets have had a multitude of injuries. Russell Westbrook's been out for extended periods and such. The Celtics should be doing way better than the way they are. One of the more disappointing teams this season so far.
For sure. The Boston have not been good. I mean, these guys were supposed to be, powerhouses in the East, and currently sitting at, I think it's 18 and 17. I think they're just over 500.
Are they above 500?
I think
now?
They might, because they got that win yesterday against the Pacers, which was quite a good win. 32 points for Kemba Walker. My brain is not here today. For Kemba Walker in that game. Lo and behold, when he performs, they win. I think a lot of issues can be shifted Kemba's way. Obviously, they're expecting a certain level of performance, especially, from his first year as a Celtic. You sort of plan and expect for your star guys to perform day in, day out, and when they don't, that can provide some serious deficiencies in Boston's play. Obviously, being close to 500 is not solely on Kemba's sort of shoulders, but it's a massive hole. It's a massive gap of points that they're just not getting. But to the point, the Kyrie Irving is the reason for Boston's woes. I mean, sure, they may have thought that Kyrie was going to stay there for a long time, and even Kyrie said, "I'm going to be at Boston for." I can't remember exactly what he said, but he inferred that he was going to be here for a very long time, maybe career long. But you only take those sort of things with a grain of salt. And things deteriorated quite quickly in Boston. It was very clear from early on that Kyrie was not gelling in that situation, and I think if you put all your eggs in one basket, no matter even if it is someone as good as Kyrie Irving, you can't then blame that player when things go haywire. That's bad management to put all your eggs in one basket and then the basket breaks. So as much praise as we sing for Danny Ainge to put this sort of to put the Boston woes solely on Kyrie Irving, a trade that happened, a year ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, because he was a net last year. Yeah. So it's silly, it's naive, and it's not right. It's an alternative fact. But that being said, Boston should be performing better than they are. Their roster is as you say, is quite good on paper. They just have to figure out how to get all of these pieces working together. And, we're seeing increases from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which should really be thrusting them into top 1-2 in the East. Definitely not where they are now. They should definitely be rivaling that of the Sixers. Yet here they are, and we play Boston tomorrow, mate. We could be on the same record soon enough, hopefully. But we'll see. Yeah, Celtics very underperforming for sure, but not at the fault of Kyrie Irving. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. It's just, I don't understand why Kyrie Irving continues to pertain as a topic to
crazy.
Boston Celtics.
It feels like it's everyone else's fault but ours. So what's happened. what's happened to put our minds at ease. Oh, don't worry about maybe poor management and the poor depth. Maybe it's a mismanaged injury sort of crisis to put there to point to, but no, it's something that happened 2 years ago that really isn't relevant anymore. Kyrie Irving didn't set them up in a bad situation. It's just I don't understand. I don't understand the take, Jack.
They're the most disappointing team in the league, Nick.
I mean, for me, it's always going to be, and I should stop having faith in the T-Wolves. But the T-Wolves is another, a roster that really should be better.
What expectations did you have on Minnesota?
They should be so much better. Oh, okay. With Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, at the very least, they should not be the worst team in the NBA. At the very least. It could have definitely been the Wizards 2 weeks ago. I could have said that when we were having our slide. The Lakers right now, very, very underwhelming. They beat Portland yesterday, but that was coming off the back of 4 defeats, one of them to the Wizards. There's a few. Those are the first ones that come to mind, but definitely the Boston Celtics are in that short list of most disappointing teams. I mean, this team should not be idling close to 500. Not in
you could probably chuck in maybe.
Oh, they're still below. They are still below 500. Sorry, 16 and 17. Yeah, that's bad.
There you go. So I think for me, Boston are number one because when you have 2 superstars, not even in their prime, performing the way that they are. I think there's a bigger discussion that we could have that we won't today about their ability to retain players. Gordon Hayward, obviously, Al Horford.
Gordon Hayward having
Irving.
a great season over in Charlotte land as well.
You know who is as well? Terry Rozier.
That's
Terry
very
Rozier's
true.
Playing pretty goddamn
Terry
well.
Rozier had an amazing season under the Celtics. That was sort of the birth of his. That's right.
Yep,
yeah.
That's the reason why he got that big contract. So that's a discussion for another day. For me, Boston are, and it's not just because I'm a salty Nets fan and any chance to hate on the Boston Celtics. I'll give it, I'll take it, and I'll relish with it. But I just think I have really high expectations for them. I think that they can be one of the best in the league, and the fact that they are underperforming this badly, I get what you're saying with some of those other teams. I'll chuck a Mavs in there as well, but I think they're going to find some footing now that Kristaps is healthy, and the Nets just let him perform as well as he did tonight against us. When you guys will be watching this, it'll probably be a little bit past that. But yeah, I think that the Celtics are certainly up there, Nick. But in terms of the Nets, let's chat about some Brooklyn bits.
Stuff, Jackie boy.
Someone made a gif of me, Nick. Someone made a gif of me.
It's great. It's great. We have meme culture at JVT. It's brilliant. We have meme culture. We've made it, Jack. That's how you know.
Shout out to John Vaz, awesome Nets fan, for doing that for me. Because I look silly, and I'm a silly man.
Why not? Yeah, that's it. James Harden, mate, is an MVP contender. His form of late has been stellar for sure. What do you think about this? Do I even have to ask you what you think about this? Of course
you don't have to ask me, Nick. It's a silly question to even ask me. It's factual. Now, where he ranks as a contender, look, anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5. I think that what he is doing, he's been the steady force of this Brooklyn Nets team. And we can see some of his best players as a Brooklyn Net. Nick will chuck some of them up in a little bit. But what he has done to impact this team is pronounced. He is a floor general. He is a scorer. He does so damn much for this team. He's improved his defensive presence. He wasn't great tonight against the Dallas Mavericks in a lot of respects, but what he has been doing, the impact for the Brooklyn Nets and beyond, the best team in the league. The game against the Suns was truly incredible in performance. And Kevin Durant's absence since the Golden State game, he has been the reason why the Brooklyn Nets are the best team, one of the best teams in the league. Kyrie Irving has been incredible too, but James Harden's just balance and value to this team is so damn huge. He's the point guard, he's the alpha, he's the omega, and we still have to add our best player in, which is going to be pretty damn good. It was a disappointing performance tonight. He still got his numbers, but his impact just wasn't there. The Dallas Mavericks did a really good job of defending him, and Nick and I broke the game down, the Brooklyn Buzz. But yeah, is he an MVP contender? Look, I could go as high as second, Nick, because I think Embiid / LeBron, even though LeBron hasn't been amazing in Davis's absence, I still think that James Harden, if you are on one of the best teams in the league, who's the best player right now? Well, James Harden's our best player. There was a stat I think I saw ESPN tweet out or put out on their broadcast. He's accounted for 51 points per game for the Brooklyn Nets, whether that's through scoring or assisting. He's obviously leading the league in assists. He's still averaging around that 25 points per game mark. That's insane. He is a goddamn offensive dynamo, and he's playing the best basketball of his career. He's so damn impactful. He's playing better than when he won the MVP in my eyes, Nick. He is playing absolutely incredibly, and he belongs at the MVP table, conversation, whatever sort of modicum you want to refer to it as.
Well, the stats were there for Harden. That I feel like they always have been. We're starting to see a lot of the Nets sort of the recent, just their recent win streak has been accredited to James Harden. We're seeing real wins get on the board due to his impact, which is big. Since he came to Brooklyn, and I feel like since that Phoenix game, which really is when this buzz started happening. So up to that game, he was averaging 20s, 23 and 12 on the season. And that is, that feels like walk in the park numbers for Harden. Since that game, since that Phoenix game, when he started getting that buzz, people started to realize he's actually been doing really, really well. I mean, 3 weeks ago, I was saying, it doesn't matter what, he's not getting into that MVP conversation because of all the stuff that happened in Houston. Since that game, he's averaging 29 and 10. And like a steal and a half per game as well. Like his impact is shown all across the court. His field goal percentage is 50% over those games. 46% from three. The guy is just insane. And I mean, you sort of mentioned he may be playing better than he has in those MVP seasons. It's very possible given the injuries that are facing this Brooklyn Nets team. A lot of people were concerned about depth and breadth in this team after trading so much and, having those three superstars, two of them being out. And, people started to ask questions, what's going to happen here? But James Harden is surely over these past, 9 games, Jack? Don't quote me on that one, but you would know. Has solidified himself as a leader and especially a number one in these games, and showing his ability to create, to score, to win, and that is what is thrusting him into this conversation right now. And I am 100% on board. My tune has definitely changed on James Harden, and it's come advantageously. LeBron had a poor week, and the Lakers had a poor week. And this is sort of, given him the opportunity to slide in a little bit. Joel Embiid keeps doing what he's doing, which is just be big.
Jared Allen's better though. Jared Allen's better.
Jared, sure, mate. There's a lot of Nets. There's a lot of Nets takes. There's a lot of Nets takes I'll take from you, mate. But come on. Yeah. So he's definitely in that running now. He's definitely at that table. And he is, he's ordering the prime rib. He's not relegated to, just entrees. He's on the he's on the big boy table. He's not on the kids table. That was a better analogy. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
We have dumb analogies. We have good analogies. We have bad analogies. But yeah, James Harden playing incredible basketball, and he's a joy to watch. What he does by himself, and the way he makes the team better. That's the definition of an MVP.
Well, the assists, like the close to 12 assists, just fills your teammates with confidence, and we see that from LeBron James all the time. We've seen it from James Harden, in previous seasons, and what he was able to do with the Rockets. Even if they are just little kickouts, gives your shooters confidence to hit those shots, and lobs to DeAndre gives him confidence to keep running the floor, and it's just a good time. It's a good time to be a Nets fan right now and a Nets player.
It is, and the reason why Bruce Brown is having career nights, the reason why Joe Harris is shooting every second shot into the net off a three ball, it's because of James Harden, and he's revitalized DeAndre Jordan in a lot of sense. He's making Nicholas Claxton look good as a lob threat. He's awesome, and the way he's playing right now, I know in seasons past we've both had our gripes with James Harden, with some of his antics and what he is doing as a Brooklyn net and leading this team is truly insane. He's been awesome, and
he just needed to get out of Houston. That was it. He may have taken the wrong way to approach that, and I truly do think he did. Bit unprofessional, but his professionality is now coming out on the court in a situation that he's enjoying, and his play speaks for itself.
Speaking of MVPs, Nick, we'll get to the king himself, who's won a couple of those. But Anthony Davis provided us some comments, and he thinks that LeBron James doesn't care about winning MVPs. Before I get your thoughts, Nick, Anthony Davis spoke to The Athletic. He said, "I know that man does not care about MVP awards. He cares about championships. So if he loses the MVP and wins a championship like he did last year, he doesn't care." So that's what his mindset is. He's not focused on MVPs. He's focused on finals MVPs. The guy last year that felt disrespected after Giannis got a large majority of... Okay. All right, Nick, I'll get your thoughts before I gather mine.
Well, I don't think that point that you made about like him getting upset at Giannis really indicates that he cares about MVP. It does to an extent. It's just more he cares about the respect. He doesn't care that I don't think he cares that he won or lost that award. I think he cares that the overwhelming majority was voting for Giannis. And, I would have voted for Giannis that year as well. As much as I love LeBron, Giannis had an amazing year. I think it was just the disparity there. It's just like, come on, I deserve something. And he came out, potentially used that as fuel, came out and won the championship. For me, LeBron has said this. I think LeBron has said this himself. It's just like, I don't really care about MVPs. But I think there has to be, as competitive as he is, he has to care about that in some respect. Doesn't he? Like, it's the second biggest award, maybe third biggest award that you can win as a basketballer. Next to championships and next to finals MVP potentially. And it's another counting stat that, is good for LeBron's legacy. And that's what he ultimately cares about. I think that is his number one. Is he going to go down as the greatest basketballer ever? And I think that is his biggest, goal is to improve that legacy. And the MVP does that. Yeah. Not as much as a championship, but it still does it.
Look, you can make an argument that it does, because if he does win the next one, he's tied with Michael Jordan, I believe, with 5 MVPs.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. If you had to take if LeBron were to retire next season, and he had either won a championship and a finals MVP probably, or a regular season MVP, what looks better on his resume?
Oh, no, definitely championship, because, the 6 rings is...
Exactly. That is the thing. No one counts, people still do, but no one really counts MJ's championship rings. MVPs. But it's those rings, those 2 3-peats that is just... almost untouchable. It truly is. He was incredible.
Everyone does forget that Michael Jordan also did lose to the Orlando Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals, and also did lose in the first round in 1989.
LeBron James also lost to the Dallas Mavericks, mate. There are knocks on everyone's career. But a future championship at 36 would do wonders for his career, for his legacy, and I think that is the focus. An MVP will just be icing on the cake. That would be great, because the storyline again, hey, this guy's the best player in the league, confirmed, at 36 years old, and he won a championship. That is incredible. But for me, like, he needs to be resting. So arresting LeBron, I know, he needs to be. I think against what was it? Who'd they get smoked by? They got smoked by a team a couple of days ago. The Jazz, that's right. And he played like 28 minutes. It's just like, that's good. That's good. Get your rest in the game.
Blowout away.
Yeah.
You know, I know that when the Nets were up big against the Orlando Magic, I was like, 30 minutes for Kyrie Irving, that's good. And he obviously didn't play tonight either.
This is the Warriors all over again as well. Like the 73-9 record didn't mean anything when you lost to the Cavs, you know? So I think LeBron James is certainly... I don't think he cares as much about MVP as the rest of the general public do, because he is a lot more focused on the postseason, I think.
I honestly do think he does, though, Nick. I think that he cares about it all. He cares about all the validation, all of the awards. And look, there's a greater likelihood this season than not, because of the way the Utah Jazz are performing, because of the way the Sixers are performing, because of the way the Nets are performing, because of the way the Clippers are performing. I think it's going to be a lot harder to win a championship this year and go back than it was last year in the bubble against the Miami Heat, who had a couple of injuries here and there. Whereas I think it's more likely that he wins the MVP. You know, he's going up against, you know, he's got the incredible media backing that we've alluded to in previous pods. You know, the Lakers faction is true. The LeBron James faction is true. You know, Joel Embiid, James Harden, these other names, Nikola Jokic, Stephen Curry. There's plenty of cases and arguments that can be made for them. We've done that. We've said that before. But to say that he doesn't care, it's just it's false.
I don't think it's
if he doesn't care, why is he playing?
Well, that's right.
Why is he playing these extended minutes? Why is he leading one of the league leaders in minutes and such? Why is he doing so much? Why? It's, to me, to say it's look, and he said himself that like he was pissed that he didn't get the votes last year against in the race harness. He wants and needs that validation because ultimately it feeds into what, you know, his successes and it feeds into his resume overall. I totally agree. A championship would mean so much more because that's what we judge everyone on for some goddamn reason. But if he does both, then he could automatically rocket himself as being like, you know what? Did MJ do this at age 36 years old? No. And that would automatically give his claim and credence as the best player ever even more juice. But, you know, it's a discussion we could have many a times. But to say that he doesn't care, like, yeah, I think he cares more about championships. I don't disagree with that. All the players do. James Harden does. James Harden wants a championship more than probably any other player in the NBA, and I can probably safely say that because I've read plenty of articles about it. The way that he's playing right now, the reason why he's in Brooklyn, he wants that chip. He needs it for the validation for his legacy. And to say that LeBron James doesn't care, like, you don't have to totally discredit his desire to be the best player in the league for a season to just say, oh, he only cares about this. It's just, I know, it's a bit silly from AD. And look, they need him to be back if they're going to be winning that championship at the end of the day. And if he's not back and fit and firing, then the best that LeBron James can get is an MVP. And I think he also needs Anthony Davis to be back in some semblance as well, because the Lakers need to be performing well for him to win an MVP and or a championship at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just think it's not probably top of his to-do list at the moment. That doesn't mean that he doesn't care. That is true. I think the blank statement that he doesn't care about MVPs is false, but he probably doesn't care about it as much as chips, which I think is true. And just that little caveat at the end makes a world of difference. All right, Jackie boy, sticking on LeBron James. We had some comments about outside of basketball affairs, as we always do. Some political things can come in, social justice things can come in, and the NBA has been all over that. But Zlatan has had his 2 cents about these issues and how vocal people could be. We'll just play his clip for you here.
You like going to watch basketball?
Yeah, I liked a lot, and I mean, he's a phenomenal in what he's doing. But I don't like when people, when they have some kind of status and they go in and they do politics at the same time what they're doing. I mean, do what you're good at.
I'll pause it there because that is the gist, and I know it was quite soft. Apologies for that one, but essentially what he's saying is that He's Laura Ingramming LeBron James again.
Which is rich because LeBron James himself said that Zlatan has actually come out in defense of, he's experienced racism himself. And he came out and said, so like, it's the pot calling the kettle black a little bit here. And while Zlatan being MAGA is a bit of a surprise and a twist and a turn, at the end of the day, LeBron James's legacy, yes, we talked about all the basketball accolades, he's going to be known as an activist. He's going to be remembered, not in the same vein as Muhammad Ali, but athletes aren't just athletes. Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, the athletes at the Olympic Games, Jesse Owens, and I can't remember their names, I apologize. Nicky Widmer, all these people. Without them, there isn't change in relation to social injustice and social oppression. Because they are athletes, their voice matters. We listen to their voice because they have that platform. And for Zlatan to stay, sportsmen to stick to what they do best. Well, politicians don't do politics best, especially in America. LeBron James would be a better politician than I would say 95% of current politicians in any current political landscape. So it is a bit silly and a bit stupid because, and I did find an article, Nick, in relation to what I was talking about with Zlatan. He said that he experienced undercover racism, which has cost him some credit in Sweden because he doesn't have a typical last name, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So he said he said this: "What does the Swedish media do? They attack me." Or sorry, my things aren't loading here. But yeah, he said, if another player made the same mistake, they defend him. But when it comes to me, they don't defend me. This is about racism. I don't say there is racism, but I say there's undercover racism. It exists. I'm 100% sure because I'm not Anderson or Svensson. If it would be that, trust me, they would defend me. Even if I would rob a bank, they would defend me, I tell you. So, okay, Zlatan, if it pertains to you, you can speak about it. But if it pertains to a bigger group of people beyond yourself, you can't. Like, come on, dude. Like, I've always been I know you are as well, Nick. We've always been a fan of Zlatan and the sort of character and persona that he brings to sport in general. But these comments here are just dumb. Like, they're just dumb and ignorant.
They are naive for sure. I think LeBron sort of stated it best in his. We'll actually listen to those comments now. Actually,
court for a second. Zlatan, the soccer player, said that he believes that famous people and athletes such as yourself shouldn't use their platform to do anything other than what they're good at in their athletic endeavor. As someone who has promoted the idea of more than an athlete and trying to empower players to use their voice to speak on their communities, do you have any response to what he said?
Nah, absolutely not. I mean, because at the end of the day, I would never shut up about things that's wrong. I preach about my people, and I preach about equality, social injustice, racism, systematic voting, voter suppression, things that go on in our community. Because I was a part of my community at one point and seeing the things that was going on, and I know what's going on still because I have a group of 300 plus kids at my school that's going through the same thing, and they need a voice. And I'm their voice. And I use my platform to continue to shed light on everything that may be going on, not only in my community, but around this country and around the world. So, if there's no reason, not I won't say no reason, but there's no way I will ever just stick to sports because I understand how, how this platform and how powerful my voice is.
That was the sort of key point that I wanted to touch on, was that he realizes how important his voice is and how much reach he has and the impact he has on people. So why wouldn't he use that to try and better the world in his eyes, And I think his social justice endeavors are very admirable. And I mean, not a lot of people in that situation do the same thing. Not a lot of people with that much impact, that much money, that much influence do the things that LeBron James does, which is incredible. That just shows his sort of strength of character. And for Zlatan, you know, equally, he has an important voice, and you know, he has an impactful voice, and him saying that sportsmen should just stick to sports tells people who listen to his voice, who, you know, who are impacted by Zlatan Ibrahimovic, to take upon those values. And, you know, he is saying, Zlatan is saying you shouldn't, that LeBron James should just stick to sports and not talk about politics, while saying that is a political statement. Saying that is using your platform to further your own political stance. So, you know, just a bit of awareness from him. If he truly felt that way, then he wouldn't have said anything, you know, because sportsmen stick to sports, and I'm a sportsman, so I'm going to stick to sports. So it's a bit rich coming from Ibrahimovic. And it's unfortunate, really, because it is an outdated view, I think. And people with that much influence just perpetuate that line of thinking, and that's wrong. Oh, have I lost you, Jackie boy? I can't hear. Yeah, audio's not coming through. I'm not sure if you can hear me. That's all right. I might just go see if you can restart your...
No, I'm back.
Oh, no. There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there, Nick. I think it's just Zlatan being narrow-minded and perpetuating those sort of thoughts is, you know, dangerous, because a lot of people already did agree with it, and then they hear that voice, they feel empowered to think those sort of things. And everyone, and LeBron literally is, he's designed campaigns and such more than an athlete, and we are all more than what our profession is at the end of the day. You know,
That's right.
More than an engineer, more than a teacher. We're human beings. We have values. We have morals. We want to impact beyond what we can do in our professions. And sometimes it's about the greater good, and LeBron James stands for that. Zlatan could learn a thing or two from him. But Nick, in similar sort of topic, the NBA logo debate resurfaced yet again. And it was one of my favorite human beings on earth, Kyrie Irving, who did reignite the debate. Let's have a listen to Kyrie Andrew Irving.
As a native black man, as a native black king, you know, I think it's part of my responsibility to continue to push our generation, our culture forward. I know that it probably was met with some people that love it. I love the idea, and some people that don't like it. But my thing is paying homage to the example that has been set by that man. He's 17 years old. We're drafting guys even younger now, guys that are coming out of different places, and he was the standard for our generation, and he will continue on. And I want that to be something in history that is changed forever, that our generation was part of that change. And you know, if that means that I have to lead that forward and get the conversation going, then great. But you know, I think he deserves it. I think his family deserves it. I think we deserve it, as seeing greatness personified as Mamba. And anyone that's coming into the league should know that that's the example that was set. And I'm only saying that just speaking about Kobe. I don't want to discredit any of our other historical players that have done amazing things for the league. I'm not discrediting anyone when I say that Kobe should be the logo, because we have so many examples of guys that did things on and off the floor that were leaps and bounds for us to be where we are now. So I'm just saying present day, I think it was 224. It was only a year after the memorial, and you know, it's just a refresher that this is the guy for us. He's the guy for me. He's my mentor, more than just an inspiration. I took a lot of knowledge and wisdom from that guy, and he's always around me. And Gigi's always around me, and I know that in the women's game we want to continue to push things forward, but in our game too, we want to set a standard and a precedent. Like, this is excellence. Kobe Bryant logo, yes, needs to happen. I don't care what anyone says.
Jack, obviously he sort of mentioned it there right at the end. The NBA should change the logo to Kobe Bryant. There are a lot of things in that little monologue that I disagreed with. Of course, he sort of was taking this from a very personal perspective, which is not wrong. That's fine. That's his experiences and his sort of feelings about Kobe Bryant. He did mention this, just like, I'm not disparaging what other players have done. I'm like, well, you kind of are, by sort of glancing over the work that Oscar Robertson did, and Larry Bird, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson. I mean, there's a long list of players that I would put before Kobe, but that's whatever. The main thing that I fall on with Kobe is that Kobe Bryant represents a lot of pain for a lot of people. And that you can't change a logo that is emblematic of an entire organization that promotes that sort of pain and segregation that his image can instill in people. Because as basketball fans, we love Kobe Bryant for everything that he did on the court, and then even off the court after his career was over. But there is a certain black mark that a lot of people recall and a lot of people remember Kobe Bryant by, and I don't think it should be forgotten. I think that it's an important conversation to have, but to have that man as the logo of the entire NBA will not sit right with a lot of people for very, very valid reasons. And there are, like I said, there are other deserving candidates if the logo were to change. Personally, I'm all right with it. And the NBA, I learnt a couple of days ago, don't pay any rights on the logo. So even from a fiscal perspective, they're not changing the logo. Like, they would lose so much money by changing the logo. So I don't think, because we all know about the NBA's financials and how much they are willing to do for that money. So I don't think they're going to do it anyway. But if there was to be a change, I do not think it would be Kobe Bryant. I think just the fact that he has passed is elevating him to a point of, unnecessary sort of grandeur, I guess. And for someone in Kyrie's generation, like you said, Kobe was everything to him. But, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was also everything to a whole lot of other generations, and also did, XYZ on and off the court. That would be my pick. If we were to change the logo, I would love to see a skyhook. That would be my number one, personally. But I know a lot of people have their own things. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Weird that we're on the same page, Nick.
Go.
I totally agree. I would also be with Kareem, and I've done some rants on Kobe Bryant in the past, and I stick by them because I've said this before when in Kobe Bryant's passing, when we did an episode in relation to it, that the part of Kobe Bryant that I think is the most relatable is that he is human. He's made mistakes, and they are pretty damn huge mistakes in a lot of respects, and we don't have to detail them. Everyone knows them. That's probably listening to the podcast right now. But like you mentioned, those mistakes, you have to. They are part of who he is as a person. They are part of his legacy, unfortunately. And if he, and it's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a flawless person, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, all these people, we all have our own flaws in some way or another. But I just think that Kobe Bryant, while I think the logo would look cool because Kobe's just got this cool silhouette about him, I also think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a skyhook would look pretty damn awesome as well. Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jerry West is pretty fine as well. Like, it's at the end of the day, I think that we get into this debate once a year, it seems. And while I understand the importance that Kobe had to, Kyrie Irving, called him one of the first people he called after winning the championship. Their relationship was incredibly strong, and I totally understand where he is coming from, and a lot of other people as well who have the importance of Kobe Bryant in their own lives. But ultimately, it is bigger than that. This is something that represents an entire sporting organization, an entire business. And while Kobe Bryant deserves it for a lot of reasons, there are a couple of reasons, pretty damn big ones, that it just shouldn't happen. So keep it the way it is. change it, whatever. I just don't think it's that big of a deal because Kobe's legacy doesn't need this. His legacy is already so damn cemented. And the same with Gigi. Both of their legacy is going to pertain for years and years and years and years and years to come. They don't need Kobe doesn't need this to ascertain and even elevate his legacy even more because it's already cemented. We know and love him for so damn many reasons. He doesn't need this as well, Nick.
That's right. I think his face as the All-Star, the All-Star MVP trophy is completely acceptable, given that, he, as an All-Star, personified everything that an All-Star should be. On the court, the effort, the leadership, and I'm okay with that sort of award being named, and having his namesake. But to brand the entire NBA with Kobe is a different kettle of fish. And I think there are just more deserving faces in the NBA that should be first. But again, money talks, and they ain't changing it. But if it were, the Skyhook would be cool. I'm surprised we agree. I'm surprised we agree about that. The Skyhook, just like, I feel like just that long extended arm would look really cool on the logo. But that is. I mean, like you said, we talk about this probably once a year. We're at that time of year. I'm sure we'll talk about it again in 2022. Jackie boy, probably. That just about does it. Is there any final words, Jackie boy, before I sign us off?
Subscribe to every single podcast on the OTG network because we now got like a new one with some other Aussie blokes, Nick Boylan and Lewis. They're doing a Pacific sort of rundowns with Golden State and some Lakers talks if you want some more of that. And we've got a Miami Heat podcast coming back. There's the Celtics lab. There's Faces, Phylexis Pacers. The outlet for other general NBA stuff, Brooklyn Buzz, probably listen to that one. And there's also Remembering the Office as well, where I get to talk about a pretty fun TV show. So if you are in need of podcast content, go no further than the OTG Basketball Network.
Lovely stuff, Jackie boy. That just about does it for another week. So thank you for tuning in to Just Ball Things. As always, you can catch us on podcasting networks, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Pirate FM, Spreaker, Spotify. Wherever it is you listen to your podcast, we will be there. Do us a solid if you are listening to us on Apple. Leave us a rating and review. 5 stars, please. Helps us out a bunch and helps other people find the show. If you're catching us on YouTube, which we hope you are, it's a very visual podcast these days, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to OTG Network, and hit that notification bell so you know when new content comes out. We obviously come out every Sunday in Australia, Saturday in America, I believe. So we'll always be there on those days, but there's a whole bunch of other videos coming out through the week that you're missing out if you do not hit that notification bell. So remember, it's you guys that make the show great, so we appreciate any and every post heading our way. So until next week.
Keep ballin', superstar.